I will start with Allama Iqbal, and I'll quote him. सच कह दूं ए ब्राह्मण, अगर तू बुरा न माने, तेरे सनम कदों के बुत हो गए पुराने. अपनों से बैर रखना तूने बुतों से सीखा, जंगो जदल भी वाइस को सिखाया खुदा ने. And then Iqbal goes on to say कि सुनी पड़ी है मुद्दत से ये दिल की बस्ती, आ एक नया शिवाला इस देश में बना ले. This nazm is called Naya Shivala, a new temple of democracy. And how do we go about building this new temple of democracy? Because there are so many crises that the world faces today, India faces today, unrelenting crisis after crisis. And the biggest gap today is the leadership crisis. We face a vacuum of leadership in probably every sphere of human activity, and more so in the public space. And that's when some of us came together to say, and I would like to invite all of you to reimagine a new type of leadership. And what can this leadership look like? A leadership that is always inspired and listens to this inner voice unflinchingly. Gandhiji talked about the still small voice within. And he said that the only tyrant in the world that I will accept is this still small voice within. So can we have a leadership that changes outside only by a change from within, by a change in human motives and behaviors, starting with our own? That's the type of leadership that we imagine. A leadership that is about service to others, consistently keeping the last person first. A leadership that builds bridges or setu across very, very formidable ideological barriers. A leadership that holds contradictions in its belly and is able to deal with contradictions. Can we imagine a leadership that puts up a united front against injustice, against exploitation, against inequality, against violence? A leadership that looks at the problems of the universe in its entirety and not in silos that we currently look at. And finally, a leadership that believes in the power of an awakened citizenry and actively promotes that awakened citizenry. This is the type of leadership that some of us came together and said, can we reimagine this? It sounds very utopian, it sounds very idealistic. But then let me remind you that if we want something that we have never had before, we must do something that we have never done before. हमें वो करना पड़ेगा. So we said, let's embark on this crazy idea, on this crazy dream of this type of a leadership, especially in the public space, in the media, in the bureaucracy, and most importantly, where the rubber really hits the road, in our political spaces. Can we think of such a leadership? And so we came up with this idea called DISOM. And DISOM is a beautiful word. It's not an acronym. It's a word which we borrowed from indigenous languages of Jharkhand. And it means, it's a very expansive meaning actually. It means the homeland of my soul. जहाँ मेरी आत्मा बसती हो, जहाँ मेरी रूह बसती हो, वो है DISOM. It's a land of indigenous values. It's a land where governance is a collective conscience, where nature has the highest value, and where the community comes before the self. That's DISOM. So we started this journey, and we felt we need to find people who can be candidates for DISOM. We need mad people. We need the mavericks. We need the disruptors. We need the change makers. We need the dreamers. We need such type of people. कबीरा खड़ा बाजार में लिए लुखाटी हाथ, जो घर फूके अपना, वो चले हमारे साथ. We need such type of people, जो अपना घर फूकने को तैयार है. Kabir talks about burning yourself, burning the ego within, and then come, and you will realize. That's the type of people that we were seeking out for. We started this home in the middle of COVID. We had our first batch of 19 fellows. And what a batch. This was a microcosm of the plurality and the diversity of our country. From different states of the country, different age groups, different genders, castes, religion, educational qualifications, professional backgrounds, physical ability, sexual orientation. We had India's diversity in all its richness. And that was an occasion to celebrate our diversity. And that's how you build bridges across divides, across the world's divides. It's a 15-month full-time program, entirely crowdfunded. You won't believe it. People have donated us as less as 100 rupees, and someone has donated us 10 lakh rupees. An auto rickshaw driver in Banaras, he returned 100 rupees from his fare, saying that aap log desh nirman ka kaam kar rahe ho, this is my donation towards that. That's the type of, when ordinary citizens are invested in an idea like this, then you know something is happening right. So what does this program look like? There are several components in this program. The most important thing is the self. Working on the self. Because the type of leadership that we are looking at is a transformational leadership, which is based on love and compassion. Because we need to take on these forces of greed, of hatred, of violence. Vinoba Bhave talked about his purpose in life. All activities of his life were only directed towards a union of hearts. That's what Vinoba said. That's the type of leadership that we are trying to do. So our major focus was on the self. A heightened self-awareness, cultivating the practice of listening to that inner voice, an alignment of the heart, mind, body, and soul, an alignment of the self, the community, and the larger environment, appreciation of the abstract, of the intangible, living indigenous values, working with your own hands, the dignity of the work of your own hands. This is the type of self-work that we have been doing through the 15-month program. And then there are conceptual cognitive understanding. And we expose our fellows to some of the brightest minds in politics, in ecology, in economy, in development, in social experimentation, in technological breakthroughs, in transformational movements, in development. And then each of our fellows has a dream, because we all need to dream. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. So we work on their dream missions, on their dream lives. What is it that they want to do in their life? What is that change that they want to bring, first in themselves and hence in others? So our first batch is over. Now, as we speak today, our second batch is already ongoing. And many people ask us, what is the impact of this program? How many MLAs will you produce? How many MPs will you generate? And our answer is, we don't know. We really don't know. And it doesn't matter. Because this work is like broadcasting seeds. Beej ko chidak do. And ensure that these seeds are alive. Water them. Provide them the adequate sunlight, adequate shade. Give them good fertilizer, organic fertilizer. And let them be alive. And when the timing is right, when all the conditions are conducive, this seed will germinate. So it's a leap of faith. It is an experiment. I will end here with a prayer. A prayer I started with Iqbal, I'll end with Tagore. and Tagore's poem, which is Chitto Jetha Bhoya Shunno. I hope I got my Bengali right. And Tagore says, where the mind is free and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been divided into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come from the depth of truth, where tireless striving extends its arms to perfection, where the clear, and pay attention to this, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, which is so important today, where the clear streams of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where my mind is led forward by thee into ever-expanding thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Amen. Tathastu. Amen. Thank you.